Okay. So I'll delete what. Okay, no, let me do the features now, because features has got a lot more information on that. So I'll just go on to Gifrit. I'll log out, and then I'll do the features, the register button instead of the login. And so I just need to write my register button. So what you do is, on your features, if you right click and you click on add, then you click on add new item, and then you click on SpecFlow feature file, and then we're writing our what exactly we're trying to do, which is register the feature, and we click on add. Okay, so I've got, in order to register as a new customer. Okay. In order to register as a new customer, I want to be able to log in to the website. And we are doing a valid scenario there. So that'll be a valid registration. And then the first thing we've got here is, given I navigate to the Gifrit website, and the next thing we're doing, so the first thing I've done is this, given I navigate, and then the next step is I want to click on register. So that's the next thing I'm going to write there, and I click on register button. So when we click on register button, what happens? So, and I enter my first name, and I enter last name, and I enter email,
Yeah.
okay, and I enter email, and I enter mobile number, and I enter password, and I confirm password. Okay, and I click on sign up. Okay, you notice that and I enter password here is showing as black. That's because when I was doing my sign in here, I already have an I enter password. So I need to make that a bit different because I'm not going to be using the same password there. So I'll say and I enter password 1 on there. And then what I then do is I right click and I click on generate step definition and I click on generate. So what I then do is that's your path, but I'm just going to put it as register steps .cs and I save that. So that should go straight onto underneath the step definition there. So what we now need to do is I navigate to the Giftry website. That is still going to be the same thing that we wrote on our sign in. So all I'll just do here is I will just copy and paste that. I'm sure we all know how to navigate already. I'm not going to waste time on that. I need to import my hooks on here, so I'll just hover on it and then I'll pick the using unit test project 1.utilities. The reason why I'm picking this is the hook is under utilities, as you can see here, and then my project name is unit test project 1. That's why I'm selecting this using unit test project 1 utilities. And so what we'll now do now is I click on the register button. Now I'm going to start teaching how to write your own expert. So I'll go onto the website now. And so you right click on that and you click on inspect. On this, you've got 3 ways in which you can pick your expert now. You've got the link text, which is right after the website address. You've got register there. If you right click and you go to copy, you can use the copy selector as well as copy expert. But I'm not going to be using any of those. I'm going to be writing our own expert. So if you click on Control and F, that'll bring up like a small part. You can write something in there. So you write your double slash and your first letter here is A. So you write A and then always make sure that you highlight what you're trying to write your expert on so that you don't write something else. And then what I'm now trying to do is on this page, the only thing I can see here that I can use to write my expert is register on there. So all I'll do is I'll use the open and close bracket square one. So I'm opening it first and then I'm going to write text and open and close bracket equals to then the upper sign, and I've got register, then I close that as well, and I close the bracket sign. Okay, should be able to have one of one there. Done. Oh yeah, that's the wrong one, so it should be that. Sorry, register. Okay, so you can see that this is showing one of two, but if I click on the two to find out where it is, it's still on the register. So they are using the same thing, so we're fine with that. If you're not too sure, if you click on it, it will highlight where they are. So you can see that the first one is showing the yellow sign at the gift rates website register, and then if you go down, you can see that it's still the gift rate register as well. So that is fine for us to be able to use that. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste that in here. But to do that, I'm using my hooks.driver. So I'll write it hooks.driver.findElement. And how are we finding our elements? We're finding our elements using the experts we've written. So I'm going to import the by as well. And you've got the using OpenQA Selenium. So you click on that and then .expert. And then now we want to paste our expert in there. And then this was where I had the issue the last time when I was teaching you. I forgot to complete my code. I should have .click. And then I finish writing my code there. Okay, so that has gone through. And then I'll go into, hold on please. Okay, so I've done the first one, and then I'll go into, once I write the first name as well, I'll build and run it so that we can identify that it works. I'll use the same sort of expert for the register and the first name, and then I'll teach you another way to find write your expert again, or to combine your expert together to make it as one. So that's the one I'll teach after using the first name, and then we'll build again. just to make sure that what I'm teaching you guys is correct and that you can use it. So if I said we should always close this down so that we're not making an error, picking the wrong element. So if I right click and I click on inspect, then it's highlighted. On here, I have quite a few ways to pick my elements if I didn't want to write my expert. I've got the name, I've got the ID as well. We can use the two. I've got the class name, which is showing as class here. So you can use those. So you've got class name, you've got name, and you've got the ID. Those are the three ways in which you can pick your elements from here. If you right click and go to copy as well, you can use the copy selector and copy expert. So more or less you've got about 5 ways in which you can pick your element from here. But because I'm teaching you how to write your expert, so if you hold down Ctrl and F, that brings us a space so that you can see what you're writing, if you're writing it correctly. So this point in time, we have input as our first letter here. And there are different ways in which I can write this expert. There's 2 ways here that I can pick and write my expert from here. The first one I'm going to use is use the type. And then I've got another one, it's called the placeholder. So I'm going to try that one as well. So if we go into input, so double slash, and then you write your input. Then the open square, and this you should put at. Whenever you are doing the text, you do not need the at symbol. You only need the open and close one. But with this, you need the hat symbol for it. And then, like I said, always make sure that you highlight your element you're trying to pick. So then I've got type equals to text. And then I close that as well. And this is showing me one of 2. So I want to see where the second one is. So the second one is showing that it is under the class name. That's what I was saying earlier. So you need to check where it is. So with this, I have to add more to be able to give me one of 1. So I need one of 1 on here. And with this, I can then write this on it. So I'll go back a bit. So I'm going to be writing like a compound expert now to be able to make sure that I have one of 1. Then you type enter, as in press enter key, and you put and, press enter key again, you put the at, and now I'm going to put placeholder equals to first name. Okay, let's see. Oh, I've got 2 of that. Okay, so you can now see I've got a 1 of 1. That is only showing me for the first name. So 1 of 1. So you can write it as a compound, which I've just done now. Or if you didn't want to go through that, like I said before, there were 2 ways in which I can write it. When I used the first one, I had 1 of 2, which was showing that the first name and the last name had the same beginning expert. So I now did a compound one to differentiate them. And then I've written and at placeholder equals to, then in quotes, first name, which is what I've got here. But if you want it shorter, but obviously because I didn't know which one was going to give me the right one initially. But now that I know that, I could do this as well. To not make it very long. No, let's do it in different ways. So let me leave this because I've done the other one as a shorter one. So let me leave this as a compound one for this. So I'll do oops.driver dot find element, and we found it by dot expert, and I paste in my expert there. And then I'm sending keys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just think of an email address that I'm using now so that we can use it to set up a new registration on Giftrate. So the send keys. Let's see. We'll use this. Actually, let me double check the email. That's right. Okay, so what I'll do then now is I'll build just to make sure that I haven't got any errors. Okay, so that's fine. It shows that my build is successful. And then I'm going to debug so that if there's any issues with what I've written as well, it will show me exactly where my errors are coming from when I debug. And what we're trying to do is that the expert I've written actually works. So everything should work. My email should be populated on there. You should click on register as well. Okay, so it's clicked on register. Okay, fantastic. So if I open this up, you see that it actually did what I said it should do. And so this is it. So it clicked on register, and then I've got the first name as my email. So I'll just change that to first name actually, instead of having my email there. So I'll stop debugging. So I'll correct the first name. So you can see that the expert I've written actually does work. So let's get this. Okay, so what I'll now do is I'm going into the last name. I'm going to teach you the other method now. Then I'll go back to the compound as well again. And I'll just go I'll take the 3 different ones and then repeat it again so that you can hopefully understand it better. So now what I'm doing is the last name. I close this down and then I right click and I click on inspect. Yeah, someone is saying I should enlarge my screen. I'll see. I'm not really computer savvy. You won't believe that, but I'm not really. But I'll see if I can do it. If anybody knows how I can do it as well, they could advise. So the other one is coming up. So the Giftfree website one did enlarge. I don't know how I'm going to enlarge the one for my elements. Let me see if I can find anything. No, I don't know how to do the second one. Sorry. No, I don't know how to enlarge this one. If anybody knows how I can do that, they could tell me and I'll do it. But the Giftfree one has enlarged. And let me see if I can enlarge the one for... If there's something I can press on my laptop, let me know and I'll do it. Just write it on there as a message and I'll get that enlarged, please. Okay, so we're doing the last name now, and on the last name as well, I've got the class. You can select the class as your element, which is class name. You can use the name as well. You can use the ID as well. And if you right click and click on copy, you've got copy selector and copy expert. But what I want to do now is I want to show you how you can get your expert from your div. So basically, let's assume that you're on any website you're designing and they've got quite a lot of last name. So if you were going on to another page, for instance, you have last name as well, and they all have the same element. So what you can do is you can pick, because a last name will either come from create new account, for instance, or when you then get to log in as well, you might be told to fill in a form and they have last name as well, but they've used the same elements that they've used for the create new account for last name are the same one for fill a form last name. So you need to be able to differentiate which one is from the create new account and which one is from the form. So the divs are normally quite different. So what you then do is you make sure that you get the whole screen for that account, which is this, and you click on it. That highlights this for you. So if you can see properly, or if someone is doing it on their screen, you see that the first word there says divs class equals to role, and you've got the ID as focus on there. But what we want to do is, so that we're double sure, you right click and you go to copy and you copy your experts of that. And then what I'll do is I'll paste it here, and that highlights it for me that what I've done is actually correct, and it also shows 1 of 1. Then I want to pick for my last name that I'm working on. So I click on that, it's highlighted for me, and then I right click and I go into copy expert as well, and I put that right behind the div experts. And that shows you that for this particular create new account of the last name, you've got for that particular one, and it shows you that you've got 1 of 1. So you can use this. So if in case you have the same information on different pages, they will all have different divs, which is how a developer would have to write for the account, because the new account details would have his own div, which is his own expert, and the other new one for the form will have a different div for his own expert as well. So you can then differentiate that way as well. So I'll just copy that now. And then I'll paste it in here. So I'll write my full code. Hooks.driver dot find element by dot expert dot send keys. So we're sending keys, and what are we sending the keys as? That is the last name. Got that. Just shut it now. And then that is that for that. So Mr. They just taught you two different methods that you can use to rectify this quickly a bit at the bottom. So you can delete that and just use one of each. On the next one, I'll write. If there's other ones, then I'll use the second way you can do it as well. So that has rectified that. So what we then do now is on enter email, I'm now going to go back to the first where I wrote this expert. So I'll redo how you can write this expert now. Except if I don't have a singular one, then I'll have to use a compound one again. But I'll just check on that. So I'll go back to my Giftfreak website. I'll close this down. Then for the email, I'll right click again and I click on inspect. So with this as well, we've got class name. You can use your class name. You can use name. You can use ID as well. To write the expert, I've got input type equals email. So I'll just double check if I have one of that. So I've got input. Then the square open and close. Then I've got at type equals email. So that shows me one of two. So I need to find out where the second one is. Okay, so this has got, when they're writing, the developers are writing it, they've used the same one. So I've got one of two. I need to differentiate that. For the email, for this creating the account, I need one of one. So which means I need to use like a compound one for this. Come in. Okay, so what I now do is I'm going to use the class equals to the inputs. I'll see if that gives me one of one as well, because I haven't got any other thing I can use. So I'll go into that and I'll write my and at class equals okay, so that gives me 1 of 1. So I copy that and I go in here and I write my hooks, dot driver, dot find element, and I'm finding the element by expert. So sometimes you might go for an interview and they might actually ask you to write your own expert. I did go for an interview where I was asked to write my own expert. So it would be a good idea, even if you're not going to use it at work. Sometimes they ask all these questions just to know if you have a lot more knowledge about certain things. And then dot send keys, and then I'll write the email address. Now, okay, so I'm going to then go for the password. I think is the password, or is it mobile? Okay, no, mobile. So let's go. So we right click, inspect element. So I've got input type equals mobile. We've also got, okay, hold on, someone is just telling me how I might be able to. I'm just trying to see if I can enlarge it. Someone is trying to tell me how I can do that. So that's what I'm trying to do. Sorry, that didn't work. No, I just moved my elements about. It didn't enlarge it. Okay, so with that, press Control and F together. So double slash. Then I've got input. Then the open square, type, at type equals mobile. Okay, let's see where I went wrong with this one. Should I highlight it? Okay, yeah, it's that one. Okay, when you're writing it as well, it's not this squiggly square, it's the square at type. Okay, so that's 1 of 1. So we can use this instead of the compound. This shows us 1 of 1. So I'll use that. So I'll just go back and I've got oops dot driver dot find element by dot expert, and I'll put in my expert. And I'm sending keys and the mobile number. So 177 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so that's for the mobile number. And let me see. Okay, I'll do one more and then we'll build and run it as well again, just to make sure that we're on the right track. So for password, now I'm going to use the compound expert again. Um, so with that password, I'll go back into the Giftreach website and then I'll right click on inspect, Control and F. So the double slash first, and then we've got input as our first word there. So I've got input, then the open square, and I've got type equals to password. Oh no, I said I was going to teach you how to use the compound expert. So if in case you had password in different pages of your website design, then you can use the div, and the div will be you clicking on that. I like the old screen. That will highlight exactly where the div for how they've developed that particular page is. Then you right click and you click on copy expert. You paste your expert just to make sure you're right. So that's showing 1 of 1, but we want that for password. So we now right click on the password and click on inspect, and then we right click on the highlighted element for us, and then we copy our expert as well from here, and you paste it directly behind that. And that shows you that the way they've designed this website for your create new account is for the password. So it's specific for that account of the create new account is where you can only find that password for it. So I'll copy that as well. So basically, for instance, if you went for an interview, what they would do is they will tell you, or the sort of question they asked me regarding the expert is, can you write your own expert, and could you write an expert regarding this particular page, for instance? And so you just have to write one. It's so they know that, like I said, you know how to, if the developers are still developing and you're having to automate, as much as you've raised it as a bug for them to resolve the expert, because experts are not meant to be repeated, but so that it doesn't stop your work and you're stuck, then you will just continue writing your expert and continue with your automation while they are resolving those issues. Good developers shouldn't do that, but normally what they try to do is, because they're in a rush, they will just want to get the work done. And then if you do not raise it in future, that will come back to you like you haven't done your job properly, and they would assume that you don't know what you're doing. So I'll use the second method I said. Instead of using the first one at the top, just the one at the top, I'll use the slashes, but you need to know where to put your slash. So identify where you need to put your slash. You can see the squiggly red bit at the bottom, and you've got the double here at the top. Just immediately after the equals to, you put a slash there, and right after whatever word or letter, just before the other double slash, the other double comma at the top, you put another slash there, and you do the same thing for the other one. Like I said, if you don't really understand it, then just remove the double slash at the top and put just one comma at the top there. And then password, so I send keys dot send keys, and then I enter my password. Yeah. Rectify this. I'm not sure. So a lot of the time when you have an issue, instead of trying to understand where the issue is coming from, just delete it out and start again. It makes your job a lot easier, to be honest, than trying to find out where the issue is. So right now I'm having an issue with my send keys. I need to know what I'm doing wrong there. So I'm just going to try and understand it. Alright, so this is where my issue is coming from. I don't have the closing bit at the back. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll build it so that, just to confirm that where I have written my codes to are correct. And it's always best practice as well to quickly run your codes so that you can then continue instead of having to write a whole bunch of codes, and then when you build and run it, you can't even identify where exactly you've got your issues coming from, especially if you don't know how to read your error message. So it's best to take it bit by bit, so you know exactly, if you now start having errors, you know exactly where those issues might be coming from. Okay, so I'll just open that up so you can see that even though we're not using the ID, the name, the class name, or the CCS selector, or the copy expert that the developers have actually used on the system, all the expert that we have written actually does work. It actually does work. So what I'm going to do now is do the confirm password. If you are on the at work, this would not appear because it will be a test website you'll still be using, so this would not be there. So it would normally be just us going on to the sign up. So what I'm going to do is, once I do the confirm password, I'll manually just come and tick this, and then, oh, maybe I should have actually used the QA one instead of using this one, to be honest. Hold on. Okay, so now register. Just double check. Oh, that's got that as well. Okay, let's see. Does this have elements? No, it doesn't have elements. So that's another question that come out in interview questions. Things like, what can you not when you're doing your automation? What are the things that you can't automate? Capture is one of them. Captures are some of the things whereby cannot be automated. So I'll just right click. That's another interview questions. They ask a lot of that, to be honest, about what are things you do not automate. And then I had this interview question whereby they gave me a pencil and told me if I wanted to test it, how will I test the pencil? So those are the sort of questions that you'll be taken aback with, thinking, oh God, how do you test the pencil? So you get some quite interesting interview questions. And so what we want to do now is we want to write our own expert. So Control down and F. And this time I've got double slash, input, then the open square bracket, at. You'll notice I always go back to highlight because you have a lot of those sort of information all over, and if you're picking the wrong one, then you'll just be stuck thinking, where did I go wrong? Type equals password. And you can see that gives me, oh no, I was doing confirm password actually. So you see, so we do make mistakes a lot. If I was writing everything at a bunch, that's how I would have mixed it, and I'll be wondering what I was doing wrongly. So yeah, so I still have it as So at type equals password. So it's still password. So I'm definitely going to be having one of two there because I've got password as well. They didn't differentiate it. Instead of them to have written confirm password, they've just written password as well on that. So that gives me one of two, definitely. So I need to differentiate it. Let's use class equals laput. Let's see if that's one of two or one of one. And at class equals so that's giving me one of one. So that's good. So I've used the compound again. So sometimes you just will not have a choice than to use the compound. So you can write that as your compound, or we can go straight from the div as well. Find it out that way. See if we've got one of one from there. I'm going to check the questions in a few minutes. I'll just quickly complete what I'm trying to write here, and then I'll check the questions and answer it. Books.driver dot find element, and we're using that by dot expert, and then I'm going to paste my expert. And I'm going to write the same password that I had before. You see that if I hover on
We
this,
can only set up allow only rules in security.
it's showing me.
Earlier we had said that they are stateful.
It's showing me what exactly I need to put behind it. It says expected. That's him. So I just put that behind, and then I delete that. That was the error I had before. You can see that it's showing that I've written the right information, whereby if I run this, nothing would happen because I'm not sending any keys. So I need to get that off and write send keys. Oh, sorry. I meant to copy my password in there. And then that's that. So let me just check the questions. See if I can. Okay, so one of the questions here says, is there any, like I said, what can you not automate? Yes, there are other things you can automate. If you go on to Google and you ask the questions, you would find the answers there. I can't remember offhand now on what other things there are. And then the control and F, majorly what I use that for when I'm at work is because at work, basically my developers actually wrote a lot of repeated elements for me. So I'll just put the control F, see how many elements are on there. And at the time, I even had up to about 20 elements on there, which they had to resolve. But obviously, because I knew how to write my own experts, I just continued with my work, but I raised it for them to resolve it. They didn't find it funny at all, but that's their job to do. That's why I was employed. And Yeah, I'm just doing this. The person that asked why don't I confirm password before capture. With manual testing, you just try and see what's happening on the screen. See if on the capture you can actually find an element or not. So I was just sort of looking at if what I'm thinking is actually right or wrong. That's why I was doing that. So I've done that. Then what I'll now do is I'll run it just to populate the information of the confirm password, and then I would do the capture myself and then go into the sign up and write my sign up. Then what I'll now do afterwards is I'll now write how to then I am registered to do the assertion, so that you see how the assertion is written as well. So I'll just go into this again. Oh, it's better. So I'm going to build. I always build. Any little code I write, I build. Build would normally show me where my issues are coming from before the debugging. The debugging, what that one really does is if there's anything happening on your system, once it's running, then that will come up and show you what the issue is. But the build will initially show you if you haven't finished writing your code or any of that. That's what build would normally do. So I'll then debug it. So with me at work, I use debugging really unless I've completed my codes, then I run. But I debug all the time because I just can't be looking around for where the issues might be when that can give me the answer straight away. Okay, so that's that. And you can see it just comes straight to the next one and tells you, okay, you haven't done that. So, but we can't do that unless I click on not a robot.
Can we mute the noise?
Oh, sorry, let me just, I don't know. Okay. Yes, you have to automate the confirm password as well. I just did that. If you go into you can see I've written my oops.driver.find element on there. So yes, you have to. So I'm just trying to get the sign up so I can then show you how to use your assert. I'm not good with this capture at all. Passwords. Okay, when I'm trying to do the sign up now, I'll do it again one more time, how you can write your own element. That's why you can't automate this. It has to be a human doing it. Oh my. Oh God. Can let me see the questions when I'm trying to get this. Okay. I guess so. I don't know what else I can do with this capture. Okay, if you have any questions, it's best to be asking me about the questions now while I'm trying to see how I'm going to get this capture sorted so that we can get to assertion. Oh, fantastic. It's gone through now. Hold on one thing. Okay, so let me see the question. Alright, okay, so I'll just okay, so I'm going to repeat how to write your XPath yourself. So if you press down the Control and F, that will bring up a space whereby you can write, and then that's just so that you can pick up if you're writing your XPath correctly. So the double slash in front, and with this we've got button as our first word. So you write button, then we've got type. So we have the square open, at, type equals to, then the single comma up, submit. Then you close it, and then you put the close. So with this, interestingly enough, I've got 1 of 3 of that. So I'm going to see where my 1 of 3 is coming from, as in where it does appear. So the second one still says is in the sign up, and I'll see where the third one is. Yeah, the third one is under subscribe. So that means I need to find 1 of 1, because if the 2 were under the sign up, then that's fine, but because 1 is under subscribe. Okay, so what does 1 of 3 mean? 1 of 3 means that this expert I've written, you can find it in 3 places on this main screen. Of your create new account, we have sign up on this expert I've written 3 times. That's what 1 of 3 means. So it tells you where the 3 are. So at the moment where I've got this yellow highlight, it shows that that is in subscribe. So which means if I'm going to use this expert and I run it, the system will not know where it actually wants it to work. So it will be confused, like, oh, you have it under sign up, you have it under subscribe. So where do you want me to use it? So it would not work, it would just fail. So that's why you always need 1 of 1. So what I'm now going to try and do is I want to find 1 of 1. So I'm going to go back, and that was on here. The third one was here. The fourth and the second one was under sign up. So that would have been fine. But because the third one was here, then I need to write 1 of 1. So what I need to do is I'm trying to write 1 of 1. So that's that. And then I could use, because I've got sign up here, let me use text as well. Let me see if I can get that text and text equals to let me see how we wrote the sign up. You have to write it exactly as it's written as well. So the S is in capital letter, the U is in capital letter. Okay, fantastic. So yep, that's right. So the reason I've used text is because I have type equals to submit, and I have class equals to LaButton. Then I have huge, then in close and brackets I have the sign up. So because sign up does not have type or class or anything else, so that is what we call a text, and that's why I'm using it as a text. So I'll pick that, and then I'll copy and paste in there. So I have dot driver dot find element by dot. Actually, I should have taught you something else as well. There's something that we call find elements as well. You can actually use find elements as well. Okay, so let me teach you how to use the find elements. Because I've got 1 of 3, what I would do is, so I'll go back into this, and then, where was that? The one I was using before this one, yeah. So what I'll do is, I'll take the at sign up, I'll take it out, and I'll just leave at type equals to submit. Okay, but the captcha is going to give me an issue there. What I'll do is I'll go onto the, I think it was the, I'll try and remember which one we used. I think it was the email address. Let me just double check that. Then I'll use the find elements on that instead. So you know, basically the find elements is, as much as you have sent off for the developers to work on it, you're still continuing, but you can use find elements. So that will find individually the elements on there. And that's where the 1 of 3 or 1 of 20 is coming from. So you then letter it. So I'll close this and then I'll go into that. So right click, I'll just double check my find elements. If that's the one that had 1 of 3. So input. Type equals to email at, I forgot my at. Okay, so I've got 1 of 2. What was the second one? Yeah. So I've got 1 of 2. So let me use this one to work on the find elements. So you can use that as well. So basically what I'm going to do is, the first one shows me that the email itself is here. The email is here, the first one. Then the second one is showing that the email is under the subscribe to our newsletter. So I know that the first one I'm looking for, the first one is the first one I want. So how I'll write it on here is this. So I'll go in here. Then I'll go here and I'll put this. And I'll put number 1. So because here, I'll just go back again. The first one, so when I click 2 of 2 takes me to the subscribe. You can see it highlighted. It says subscribe is the 2. That's where the number 2 is. Number 1 is showing that it's under the email. So that's why I'm picking this as 1. Because that's showing me as that's where my number 1 is. So what I'll then do is, so that you can see that find elements. Oh, sorry, I need to delete the other one, because I'm not going to be able to actually sort that out because of the, even if I debug it or I run it, it's not going to work because the capture is stopping me from completing the automation I'm trying to do. So I'll just work with the one that shows. So I write find elements and then I'll debug. No, I've got a red squiggly bit somewhere, so I need to find out where that is first. Okay, something somewhere. Okay, my send keys. I'm coming. I would okay, just give me a few minutes, please. Let me check where my issues are. Options there. No, just to check. answer some of your questions soon. Just give me a few. Sorry about this. I'm just trying to understand where the issue is. I'm coming. If you've got any questions, you can throw it out now while I'm trying to get these find elements sorted. Okay, regarding the question you've asked about the console framework, to be honest with you, you will have to ask Mr. Deji for that. I don't have any inkling about console framework or why it's being used. I think the question about, let me just answer this. Your submit on the subject is double quotation. Why use single quotation while creating your elements? When you're using the expert, when you copy the expert as your element, that does not work when you use that as a double quotation. It gives you an error message. So that's why you either have to do a forward slash or you use a single quotation at the top. Okay, so I'm having an error message for my, okay, hold on, maybe it's this find elements. Let's see. All right. Activity at the back. What's there? Okay, you can see that has resolved it now. So it's meant to be right behind the double close quotes, the close quotes. So I'll build and run it. Let's see that it works. And that's under the email bit. Let's see if my email actually does populate as that. Let's see. Okay, it actually didn't go in. But it didn't throw an error. But it didn't go in. So obviously that means that I haven't written my code properly. I have to look into why it wasn't going in. I'll look into that, but I'm not going to stress myself out on that one right now. Learn the experts. Those are the ones that they will probably ask you the questions on. Not this. Okay, I was going to teach you the assertion as well. Let me just work on the assertion so you can see how that works. So I'll go into the register this time around instead of the sign in for the assertion. Because with the assertion for the sign in, because of the capture, I'm not going to be able to run that through. So I'll just go into the register whereby you can see how the assertion is written for that. Sign in, sorry. Then the page is displayed. So I've gone from my features and then I'll go to definitions. So that should take me right there. So I'm going to delete what I've written now and then I'll rewrite it just to teach you how to write yours as well. Okay. So this time around, I'm just going to go for the register. No, it's the login, sorry, it's the login. So what I'll do is I'll run the script. So I'll build. And then I'll debug it as well. Okay, so that's signed in, and then I'm going to pick my assertion and I'll go into inspect. So right click and inspect. But like I said, if you look at it now, it just says body. That is not exactly where you can find your elements. So it's now gone onto the right element to pick. So I'm going to write the expert as well for this. So I'll click on Ctrl and F. 2 forward slashes, and then the first letter here says A, so A, then the open square, at, class, equals, drop down, so you're writing exactly what's in here, and you can see it says 1 of 2. I'll click to find out where the second one is, and it's still the same place, is my account. This is where my account is, so that's fine. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste that in my. So for me to write my assertion that is displayed, so I've got assert dot. So with your assertion, you have to make sure that you've got, if you're using the N unit, so at the top here, at the top you've got using N unit dot framework. If not, if it's not there, then you need to import it. But once you have, when you were setting up, you have to make sure that your assertion is part of your packages that you've installed on there. I'll answer the questions in a few minutes, please. So with this, we can see my name on there. So that means that it's true, that I've been able to sign in. So I'm going to write it's true. And you can see all the information you can actually use for assertion here. But I'm using it's true. Then I'll open. And I'm going to use my hooks, dot driver, dot find element. And I'm finding the element by experts because I've written my own experts. And then I'm going to paste it in here. Dot is displayed because my name is displayed on there, and I'll finish up my code. And so I'll build, and that's successful. And then I'm going to debug as well. Oh, sorry, I put you on the register. I meant to put you on the sign in. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to debug my sign in. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to redo it again. I think I must have interrupted it somehow. So it does show it's passed, but because you didn't see how it worked, so I'm going to debug it again, please. Okay. So that's worked because we're not having any error. If I go into my Visual Studios, you see the pass. You can see the tick, the green tick. That's to show you that what I've written there actually does work. So let me see the questions now, and then we're almost rounding up. If you've got any questions, please, you can write it on and I can try and answer that. Okay, so the thing about debugging as well is when you click on debug, if there was any issues, you can actually use the breakpoint. So if for instance it failed anywhere and I wasn't sure where exactly it was failing, I can then use the debug. Like let's say I went here, I can put a debug there and then I can run it, and it will stop exactly where I placed that debug there. So if in case you've written a lot of your codes and you're not sure where exactly it's failing, so you can debug it and it will stop. You can see it didn't sign in because I have placed the debug on just before the secure sign in, so we know where our issues are. That's if we were having any issues at all and we didn't know where exactly it was. So that's when we can also use the debug. I'll see if I've got any other questions, please. If you've got any other questions, could you let me know? Okay, so it was a question someone asked here, why are you clicking on debugging instead of running the test, and what's the difference? And Mr. Digi answered, he says debugging allows you to see that part that your code follows, so that's why you debug it. So does anybody else has any question? Are we good? Okay, so another question came from, what does it mean to build your automation from scratch? That's a good question because that is a standard interview question that you'll be asked. Can you actually build your automation from scratch? So basically what they're trying to ask you is, if you are on a Visual Studios, for instance, are you able to actually set up your framework? How do you set up your framework? And if you remember from the beginning when Mr. Deji was teaching you, he had told you how you needed to go to your tools, your NuGet packages, add all your NuGet packages for your solutions, how to add your spec flows, install your packages. That is what you call by building your framework from scratch. So if you're asked that question, you need to take it step by step like that and explain to the interviewer that about the steps you've done till up to when you create all your folders, which are your features, your page object, your step definitions, and your utilities. And then when you're explaining it as well, your features and your step definition, for them to be able to link together is like a glue, and they work by the hook and the driver. So they would not work if you're not using your hook and your driver. So that's how your features work onto your step definition, which is why you're now getting your elements to work with it. Another sort of interview questions that I was asked is, what is BDD Gherkin's outlines, scenario outlines as well? How does it work? So when you're talking about your building your automation from scratch, when you've talked about how you go from tools to NuGet packages to your packages to adding your folders, then you go into when you've added your features, then you have to write your BDD using your Gherkins of the given, when, and then clause. With that, you can also use your background, which are for repetitive of your scenario outline. So instead of writing the same thing over and over again, you use your background. And if you're writing in multiple, that's when you use your scenario outline for that to be able to work. So, for example, if you're just writing a single feature, then you're writing just for scenario. But if you're writing your scenario outline, for example, what we've just done now, like the sign-in, they could tell you to sign in like 20 people. You don't have to start writing features for each individual person. You can just put it under the feature of register, but then you use your scenario outline to then write the names of the people you're meant to be registering. So that's what they mean by the scenario outline. So that's the answer to that question of build your automation from scratch. So you have to make it very robust so that when you're talking about it, the interviewer, most of the time is normally within 15 to 30 minutes interview. You've spoken about 20 minutes already, so they don't really have a lot more questions to ask you if you've done that. So you give them all the required information that they will feel, oh yes, this person really knows what they're talking about. Especially if you're doing a contractor role or they want to employ you as a contractor. Most of the time your interview is just one stage interview. So that will obviously click into the job. Any other questions, please? If there's no question, I know my boss is on the line. Mr. Deji, do you have anything to contribute to this, please?
Oh, thanks so much. To be honest, I think I should have even give this to you before, even right from the beginning. I don't know what I'm actually doing here. It seems you're just taking my job, actually. Yeah, but thanks. That was really useful. So yeah, so I think as you can see, if there's no question, it actually means two things. It means that you've delivered very well, and you've been able to being able to communicate it very well. And even someone was telling me right now that you actually speak very, very slowly and softly, which is really good. Thanks for that. Yeah. So in the absence of any question, I think everyone agrees to me that he has done very well on this, actually. So I think we'll see more of you, to be honest. So I can take the backstage, and I'm a proud teacher right now. I think I've got someone that can take ownership of everything. if I'm not around. So yeah. All right. So we're going to meet again on Thursday for general class. Like I said, we are kind of rounding up right now. So please, the assignment that you have, I think some people are still struggling with it. So please do it. So I was, I was speaking to the pastor, 2 or 3 days ago on the graduation. So I will let you know what date it's going to be, but I think it might be first week of April, the first Sunday in April. That will be your graduation. But one thing she asked me to do is like there will be a coursework that has to be done that you have to submit, you have to do. So as I can say, the internship is intense. So there will be a coursework. Right now, you are actually doing the test framework as a group right now, even though I ask everyone to also submit individually, but there will be individual projects that you have to do by yourself. That will be coursework. So, but this particular internship is going to finish in the next 2 weeks. Then after that, I would give out the coursework that is going to be like a full, because the one question that the last person asked is like, what do you mean by creating test framework from scratch? I definitely asked that. So basically, the coursework is going to be like you need to create your test framework from scratch, and then you submit everything on Git. And it's going to be more than what you've done. And of course, if you're able to follow everything that you've done, you should be able to do it on your own, by yourself anyway. So that will be the coursework. But the graduation, tentatively right now, I would say will be the first Sunday of April. So put that date in your calendar. If it changes, I'll let you know. But I don't think it's going to change. So because we only have 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks is take us to first week of March. So then from first week of March, you have 2 weeks to do your coursework. Then the graduation is going to be first week in April. That is the plan right now. So we have like almost 1 month actually to prepare for that. So please prepare for the graduation. There will be certificate to be given. That will also do some awards for people. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks today. So I intend to do API next week actually, so on this Thursday. So yeah, I will do API training for this Thursday. So that will be on. So because I know there are a few parts of the training that are missing, so API is one of them, and I think there's also SQL that I need to look into, and a bit of the bit and pieces of the automation. So yeah, I'll cover that in the next session. Any other question? So, and also I also no performance testing is not included. And to be honest, I do performance testing. I work in a bit, but I can't pride myself as a performance tester. But I know there's one performance tester in the group, where if you are there, please get in touch with me. It's not Oyin. I think Oyin also actually spoke to this particular person. If you are the expert in performance testing, please get in touch with me, please. And yeah, so if there's none, I can, after the training, after the internship, we'll look into performance testing. It's going to be another thing so that we need to look into, because I think we are actually going. And also I will send, there's other training that we also offer right now that's going to come into place. So I'm speaking to the tutors also in terms of the project management, the BAs and everything, and also Excel, and also data entry with Oracle and everything. So I'll send the information out to everyone on when that is going to take place. But yeah, but for this one, it's only going to be automation testing, because it's easy for us to mix everything up. Even the API, I'll only going to put that it's not going to be full API testing, but as an intro, because if you go for an interview, they will start asking you about API. So if you want to go into details of API, it's going to be another 3 or 4 weeks or so, to be honest. But as time goes on, we get better at even this training actually, so we can be able to structure them into different modules and everything. But as it is right now, just bear with us. So there will not be performance testing until we send another invite to everyone to apply for only specific performance testing role. So like I said, I know there's some guys here that have done performance testing. Please get in touch with me. If I don't get anyone, so I will look into that myself also. I've done a bit of performance testing even at work also. Yeah, thanks. So, and I'm sure that the assignment is clear. So you have up to Thursday to finish this particular assignment actually right now, and then I will send the next one to you, which is going to be after the API training that we do on Thursday. You also would do the API coursework also with it also. So that will be another year. There will be projects for you on APIs that you have to also to meet the APIs also. So that will be so. As you can see, if you don't keep up, it's going to be piling up, to be honest, and you will lose track. So, and we want to make sure this training is as robust as possible. And I think you will have registered because of the feedback that you get from previous ones. The same way also you also go and tell people also that if you want to attend that training, if you don't have time, don't attend it. So that's what we want actually. The next time we are going to take people, we want to be sure that they have the time and they can commit to times. And anyone that we say graduates at this particular training, we should be able to be confidently say they can build that test from framework from scratch, and they can be able to do the APIs also with this. So that's what we want actually. So that's purpose of this training. So any question before I let you go? All right. If there's no question, thank you so much, Oyin, for this session. So yeah, so we'll see more of you. So I think we will be taking a lot of classes now. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Deji. Thank you.
Cheers.